Hi everyone, Maya here, the co-founder of Moom. Welcome to another episode of Take Care with Moom. Today we are going to be chatting with the ever-smiling, multifaceted Asma Nasa. Asma is an ex-content creator, the founder of Gigi, which is a clean oral care brand, and someone we are super lucky to call a dear friend. In this episode, we dive deep into the healthy rituals that have changed our lives, surprising facts about how to get the best smile, and Asma's fertility journey, something she has never shared before. Enjoy! Before we begin, we wanted to talk about this one anecdote, which I find so funny. Millie and I were laughing so hard when we were talking about it the first time we met you. So we got an introduction from Vivi.
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to share the beginning?
Yes.
It was at the Els Hotel.
It was at the Els Hotel, and we got an introduction. We were like, we really want to talk to Asma. We had honestly just about launched Moom in Malaysia.
Yeah.
And we were like, great. Asma somehow agreed very quickly to meet us. I think it was the next day, literally, to meet us the next day.
But we went into the meeting being like, we need to be super chill about meeting her. Like, don't ask her anything up front. We need to be really chill and be like, we've launched this business in Malaysia. Like, we think that, you know, you stand up for like health and you talk about health and wellness and like, you know, maybe you could be an ambassador for us or something like that.
And before we could even pitch that, and Asma was like, can I recommend myself?
And it became almost like you were pitching us on yourself, but the whole time Millie and I were actually trying to pitch you.
Yeah,
just so you know, I've never done that before. I'm actually quite shy.
Okay, well.
But I was just like, me.
Yeah. From that
Moom.
day on, it was like a match made in heaven.
love
Exactly.
So we
So
I
we're here
think-
together.
Yes, exactly. And I think that is the perfect segue into the first question that we have, which I think online you are so known as this like beacon of positivity and light and yes, obviously health. And you have like the most beautiful smile. Literally look at her smile. And we noticed
Gigi
this
ad.
even before we knew that she was obsessed with oral care. So but at the same time, you are also known for your sharing your vulnerabilities and you know, being quite open about the hardships you've gone through, whether that's, you know, the loss of your dad or your brother, or even like going through a divorce at a young age. So I think our first question really is, has it been a very conscious decision for you to be this light of positivity, or is it just something that's come very naturally to you?
Okay, well, I mean, the first thing I want to say is people find it really shocking when I say I'm a shy person and an introvert.
Yes. I mean, I don't think I've heard that from you before.
So, but the truth is that's me.
Yeah.
So when I, you know, back in the days when blogs were still a thing, I wanted to share about something that I was going through. So like sharing my vulnerability about the loss of my dad, brother divorce, it doesn't come naturally to me, but it is something that is super intentional that I wanted to do. Because at that time when I was going through my divorce, I was like, why is no one talking about this online?
Yeah.
So when I started the blog, I was like, this is one of the first few articles I want to write about because I wish someone had written about that. And I was like, okay, if my blog post can make one person less lonely online, then I've done something. So
Do you feel like the positive light and like, I guess, force that you exude has come from that? Like, has come from this hardship? I guess like that's something Millie and I have always been curious about. Like, how have you stayed so positive from all of these? And like, do you have tips for people to like become as positive as you are?
I mean, I think definitely what has happened has fully shaped me to like become who I am.
Yeah.
My husband gets annoyed sometimes. He's like, why are you smiling when you wake up? I'm like, I don't know. It's like a new day. Like, I'm just like,
Yeah,
I'm
we
excited.
do not feel that way.
I wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired.
Yeah.
You sound like my husband. Yeah. But then I genuinely feel like because of losing people, you realize how precious life is.
Yeah.
And I lost my brother. He was 24. That's really young.
Yeah.
So that was like a huge wake-up call. And as hard as that was, I really think everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And it's just made me who I am today. And I'm grateful for it. Yeah.
Do you have like 1 to 2 daily practices or tips or actionable tips you think have really changed that mindset for you that you can share with everyone?
Just 2?
2 or 3 or however many you have.
I think one of the ones that is just like a non-negotiable is prayer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's meditation for some people, but it's prayer for me.
Yeah.
You know, like as Muslims, we have to pray like 5 times a day. But it's not like I'm not doing it because I have to. But like as I got older, it's because I want to.
Yeah.
Because it really helps like recenter just everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's
Okay,
the one for me.
Yeah.
Some form of meditation or like silence or
to like refocus and calm. And then the second one is just like sitting quietly. Is that another form of meditation?
yeah.
Because I think like nowadays we do so much in life. You're working, you got to talk to your team, like even in the office and everything. And I think just having that bit of quiet time is so important to just like download everything that's happening with life.
Yeah.
So you can be in your best of mood.
Yeah. I think that's actually so important and strangely one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Just sit with
making
yourself.
time
Exactly.
to just sit with
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
But I think that's a great segue into kind of starting to talk about the wellness aspect of you and the taking care aspect of you, which Maya and I love to joke that you're the healthiest woman in KL. Because when we moved here, you were the only person that was like, I love green juicing and I love eating vegetables. And we were like,
And it came so naturally.
I know,
to you.
exactly.
It almost sounds Asian.
Do you think that, growing up in Southeast Asia, our generation hasn't necessarily grown up or really like prioritized eating healthy? I think now a lot of us are doing it, but this was not always something that like as kids we were doing it. But to you, it seems like you've always been like this. So what are some things that I think you would say have transformed your health over the years and your health and wellness practices over the years?
Well, I mean, to begin with, I've got my mom to thank for it. Like, she is the healthiest person.
Yeah.
I think me and my sisters were probably the only kids in Malaysia who weren't allowed white bread growing up, who weren't allowed to eat cereal because she says you might as well eat the box. There's more nutrients in the box.
Oh my gosh, that's
so,
hilarious.
it's quite a sad childhood, but as an adult, I'm grateful for it.
Exactly.
But I think, like, for me, it's simple things. Something happened when I was 29 or 28 where I actually felt like a few heart palpitations. So that was a turning point for me.
Yeah.
So that's when I started juicing.
Yeah.
I love juicing. It's not to say that it substitutes my vegetables, but it's just to like add on.
Yeah.
But since I started Gigi, I've been so busy. That's why I drink Moom Super Green. Like legit, it's
Product
convenient.
placement, everybody.
But then the next
We did
thing
not
is
pay her to say that.
Yeah.
no, the next thing is just choosing water over sweet drinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a good tip, actually.
First of all, you save so much more money drinking water outside. And second of all, like when you drink sweet drinks all the time, you're just having added sugar that's unnecessary.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then for me, it's a wholesome breakfast. I love breakfast.
Okay, so what do you eat for breakfast? Because I
Okay,
always
so
want to know what people are eating.
I have like it's the very same template. It's either yogurt, fruit, granola, or
Okay.
I make like a big batch of porridge because I love congee. So I
Okay.
remember asking ChatGPT, give me like healthy breakfast options. I was like, don't, and give me something Asian.
Yes. Okay, that's the thing.
Okay,
Like you scroll through TikTok, whatever.
Or Pinterest, and it's
all
always
Western.
it's all Western.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a bowl of porridge I love that. And the next is just like eggs, sausage, and
Okay.
avocado.
That's like Mili.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my other go-to.
Yeah.
I love that. Like a good breakfast makes me like in a good mood for the whole day.
That's been one of my 2025 goals is
Okay,
eating
breakfast.
breakfast. I've been
Got it.
such a non-breakfast eater always, but I truly think it's helped me so much with
Yeah.
like not wanting to snack in the middle of the day.
Yeah. No, but one thing I did want to add is like something we bonded on really early was our moms being this like
Yes.
influence of health on us.
Yes.
Because I remember Mili and I, so we were swimmers, we grew up swimming, and our mom used to pick us up from school and give us like beetroot juice.
Oh,
And I like gagged every time I had to drink it. And I
Yeah.
used to hate it. And it was the same thing. It was like we felt like we were missing out on things in our
100%.
childhood, but we weren't actually. I
No.
think it's like led us to not maybe have a reliance on like sweets or gummies or all of these things as we get older.
yeah.
But yeah, I think that has been such a huge inspiration for us on starting Moom, like just taking care of your health and taking care and bringing things into your own hands.
Yeah.
But I think to us on the outside, it seems like it's been a similar journey for you, right? This combination of like growing up around health and wellness, as well as like going through so much loss and really having to like look inwards and thinking about what you want has, in our minds at least, as we've spoken to you, led you to go through your entrepreneurship journey.
Yeah.
And it is like kind of similar to us. It's like an amalgamation of all of the things that you grew up with, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell us about the decision making into like becoming an entrepreneur.
Okay, well, first of all, being an entrepreneur was never in my plan. Like, really never. Like, I'm just like, how am I? Why do I have a business today? Like, I wake up and I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, all right, we're doing this. But I think, like, going through over 10 years of being in the fashion, beauty, and like skincare industry and being a content creator, I just had this nagging feeling inside. Like, I wanted to do something that was bigger than me. And so somehow it led me to starting a business. And then I just went with it. It felt right in my gut because I feel like when you start a company, you have to think so much more than you.
And it's quite inspiring to see how, was it last year you decided to no more content, no more focus on content at least, and really take on the entrepreneurship role.
Yeah.
And to be very honest, obviously Maya and I are not content creators. But to me,
far from it.
The first thing that I thought of when you made that announcement, which is maybe crazy, is how is she giving up trips to Paris with Dior?
Yeah.
Like that was
why are you turning that down?
Yeah, like how is she giving up being gifted by, I don't know, X brand to go to Japan and like live her life and take photos and like it's so glamorous.
Well, now that you say it.
I know.
Oh no, she's like, I regret.
I know, but and then obviously, you know, having spoken to you more, it's very interesting to hear. But I think that would be something so interesting to share with everyone is what made you make that huge life decision.
Yeah.
Especially since we all know like entrepreneurship is really hard.
Yes.
Yeah. No one warned me. No. So I actually decided a year before last year.
Oh, okay.
So I made that intention, finish off all my campaigns. But I wouldn't say it was the toughest decision just because I realized I am not a good octopus. I
Okay.
know some women can do a lot of things, but I realized I have to lean into my strength, which is focus. So I wanted to focus on one thing and I was like, think long term,
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful I've gotten all these trips and, like working with all these global brands that have always been on my bucket list. And I'm like, you've done that, now it's time to do something else that's going to challenge you. And I knew entrepreneurship was going to challenge me.
Yeah.
And it is challenging, but I love it. Like, it's crazy.
And it is in fact challenging.
I like that analogy, the octopus. I've never heard that, but I love that.
Yeah, because Mili always talks about how as women, when we talk about women and then like going into the workforce and building businesses and everything, it almost feels like we've flipped the narrative so hard that it's like instead of women can't do it all, it's like women should do everything and like we can do it all.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is actually not that. And I think that's something Mili talks about a lot is like, we don't have to do it all.
Exactly.
Because I think we like online, we went through this phase of like, women can do it all and you should do it all. And we're like, okay. And then you're like, and then I'm struggling and I'm not happy, So then I realized like lean into my strength, which I think you guys are doing as well.
Yeah.
And not trying to do it all and do what we're good at.
Switching gears a little bit, going
Yes.
back to your decision to go with entrepreneurship, your decision to start Gigi. I think like a huge question, not only we have, but I think, you were scrutinized by some people in the public for this as well. Like why oral health?
Yeah.
Right? I think it could seem random to some people. I think after like seeing your smile, I'm like, okay, maybe there's something there. But I think we all want to know.
She's not all that dodgy.
Yeah. Like why oral health? Like why toothpaste? We're going to deep dive into this a little bit. And just want to know that.
Well, Gigi honestly came about like on a bright Sunday, like the idea. I was toying with the idea for like a year, like what can I do? So I was reading newspaper, I was reading like any news online, just trying to get my foot in, what's going on in the world, in the industry. And then I opened up a newspaper and there was like a full page spread about toothpaste. That was my light bulb moment.
Oh.
And I got a free Sunday newspaper one day. And I was just like, I was literally on this floor in this house. And I was like, I'm making toothpaste. And I called my sister immediately, who's my partner. She's not here, but yeah. That's how it happened.
Wait, but had you cared about toothpaste before?
Always, because like I said, my mom always made us read ingredients. So growing up, it wasn't just about food. It was our shampoo. It was our toothpaste. It was everything. She's like, read the ingredients before you buy something. So I've always been using like pregnancy toothpaste because it's fluoride free in Malaysia.
Right.
So when I read that article, I was like, I'm gonna make toothpaste. That's how it came
What
about.
a like kismet moment, right? Like
so random, but I'm so grateful for it.
oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I have questions about, like, for everyone listening, I don't even really think everyone knows what fluoride-free means.
Exactly.
Like, can we deep dive a little bit into...
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so you saw this newspaper article. You were
Yeah.
like, I'm going to make toothpaste. Then what?
And then I did a whole lot of research.
Okay.
So the good thing is with online, you have like a whole lot of access to information. So I was reading like medical reports, dental reports, Harvard reviews, everything. Anything I can get my hands on, I was reading. And that's how I landed on, with my sister, discovering this amazing ingredient called hydroxyapatite. So I've always been fluoride free with toothpaste just because there's a lot of studies that it's not safe for pregnant moms because it goes to the bloodstream, to the babies. And there's a lot of like wishy-washy around it. So it's an ingredient that I would rather not have.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And when I was thinking about creating a product, it always had to be something I would use myself.
Right.
So yeah, that's how we found like hydroxyapatite. It's like the ingredient that they put in NASA astronauts' toothpaste because they lose a lot of mineral like when they're in space. So that's why, yeah.
I did not
And
know
it was
that.
like, it was patented by Japan for like 20, 30 years. That was
So
the
it's
gold standard.
It's a mineral?
It's a natural mineral that makes up your teeth and your bones. So it's so natural. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't
so I was
know
like,
that.
I really want Gigi to be the first one that formulates with it in Malaysia because it's so common in Japan, but
Right.
not like in Malaysia.
So if someone is like,
Yeah.
I would say maybe Maya and I do tend to look at ingredients,
Yeah.
and that is also a lot due to Moom as well.
Yeah.
But if someone is just in a pharmacy looking at a toothpaste, what are like the one or two ingredients they should make sure are not in there? I think there are so many
Yeah.
ingredients in a list. It's maybe hard to know
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So you're saying fluoride.
Fluoride, I would stay away from saccharin. These are all like hormone disruptors. Parabens,
Yeah.
so like
Yeah.
sodium lauryl sulfate, and then peroxide. All of this like artificial whitening. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
those
the
things.
whitening toothpaste that we
Yeah.
all love to use are actually
Really
not
bad
that
for
great
you.
for us.
No,
Yeah.
but see, there are alternatives.
Yes.
So hydroxyapatite is a natural
Yeah.
teeth
Yes.
brightener. And there's papaya enzyme, which we're going to formulate with. So I'm like an ingredient geek. So this might be boring to you guys listening,
No,
but
I
like I
think
get
it's
so
super-
excited because I know you guys love
Well, and you just said
ingredients.
papaya enzyme, and that's so interesting because that's literally
A hero.
one of our hero product
Yeah.
ingredients in D-Blow
D-Blow,
and Super
right?
Greens.
Yeah.
So ingredients have so much overlap.
It
It's so
does.
interesting.
It's interesting.
I
love
think
it.
it's also interesting just to think about like the way your mouth can affect so many other parts of your body.
Yes.
Like you think that brushing your teeth is like an external thing, but it's actually like if you think about it,
So
all that
connected.
toothpaste is going
Exactly.
into your bloodstream. You're ingesting it.
Yeah.
It seems like toothpaste is not an ingestible, but it actually is,
It is.
something that you're
It
taking
is.
into your body every single day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And more than like supplements, honestly, you're brushing your teeth twice a day,
Yeah, that's
minimum
so
most
true.
people.
Yeah.
So it's going into your bloodstream at all times.
Yeah.
So I think starting with your oral health in general is really, really important.
100%. That's
yeah.
why we wanted to make it also like food grade ingredients.
Yeah.
Like Gigi is food grade ingredient certified. So even if you swallow it, it's fine. You just
Yeah.
get a little bit of mint treat.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it tastes delicious also. I live in
you.
a Gigi household.
Yeah. One last question I have about
Yeah.
oral health. So we read a lot about the gut microbiome at
Yeah.
Moom. That's such a big part of what we do. We formulate a lot of supplements that have to do with gut health. But recently on TikTok, I have been not reading. I love when people
Watching.
are like, I read this article.
And then it's like,
actually, I watched a
TikTok.
TikTok video. I watched a TikTok video about your oral microbiome and how
Yes.
that affects your gut health. It can affect so many other
Yeah.
things in your body.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about what
Yeah.
an oral microbiome is?
I was going to bring that up. It
Yes,
actually
go
affects
for
your
it.
heart as well.
Oh.
There was a direct relationship with the heart, brain, and gut. So that's why it's so important that these ingredients don't go in your body like long term.
Okay.
Yeah. So especially about the microbiome,
Yes.
you have like good and bad bacteria, right?
Right.
So a lot of like toothpaste says like they're gonna kill the bacteria, but you can't kill everything. It's just like your gut. You need it. It's just like all the mouthwashes that says kill the bacteria, but no. So that's why you have to have the good and the bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why we put coconut oil in it as well for Gigi because it's really good.
Yeah, it's
to
so
maintain that.
interesting. Like, I guess the word microbiome is like such a buzzword, but
Yeah.
it actually so important, right? You have like a vaginal microbiome, you have
Yeah.
a gut microbiome, you have oral microbiome.
Microbiome,
It
yeah.
all affects like every single part of your body.
Yeah.
And
It's all
It's all
connected.
connected.
It is.
Yeah. So
You want the good and the bad.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want the
Exactly.
bad, but you want to keep the good.
Yes.
You want to keep the good.
You don't want to kill everything,
Yes,
right? And when I think when people think, oh, I want to get rid of bacteria, they often forget that they're also getting rid of good stuff.
Yeah.
So you're not just getting rid of the bad things.
Yeah.
So that's a good one to keep in mind. Going back a little bit to how you switched to entrepreneurship. You took this big career decision last year. Well, in your head, you made it a while ago, but to us, you took it last year.
Yeah.
And you decided to kind of stop content or stop focusing on content and lead, this entrepreneurial life. And I think that that's all something we've heard about. But I think a little bit behind the scenes, we know something that you have also been focusing on has been your fertility journey. Oh. I mean, I think just like loosely and very broadly, would you mind sharing a little bit about this? I think it's always very interesting to speak with women about, how they've gone about processing it, everything.
For me, to be honest, I feel like my journey is so different than everyone's. Because usually when you bring up fertility, you immediately think about like IVF and going through all these treatments.
Yeah.
But that is a decision I've made, like even before I got married. I had a talk with my husband. I mean, not yet then. I said IVF is not something I want to do.
Okay.
So that's always been clear in my mind, that I would do things the natural way, and chill. So my journey is very chill and very different.
Yeah.
For me, it's just focusing on like managing a healthy lifestyle and everything. And I really believe when it's the right time, it'll happen.
Yeah.
And the good thing is, thankfully, like I have gotten checked and the doctor said there's nothing wrong. So it's just like when the time is right, it'll happen. Yeah. So
did you I think some questions a lot of people have is like, as society is changing, we're all starting to have kids later, right? And it becomes a bit of a worry. Like, how has like thinking about your fertility at your age, if you don't mind sharing with everyone what your age is as well, been? And like, have you felt the pressures of it? Are there things like actionable items you're taking to support it? Obviously, starting with natural ingredients in your mouth is obviously a big part of it as well. But
I mean, okay, so I'm 38 this year.
Okay.
2 years to 40.
Which, not to be rude, for me, that sounds like old to start thinking about having a kid, right?
It's different for everyone.
Traditionally.
Yeah, but see, like in the traditional way, like it's kind of late. You
Yeah.
know? But for me, so I followed someone on Instagram for years, and she is about my age. She recently had a kid, and she said that in hindsight, I love that I got my baby girl late because I've matured so much from life.
Yeah.
And motherhood is so much better for me at this age. And I found that so comforting.
Yeah.
Because I think, like it's amazing when you're pregnant in your 20s, but you're a different person coming closer to 40.
100%.
I can't breathe.
Like
You know,
now,
like we're so much more calm.
I know. I think about our
chill.
our mothers telling,
Crazy.
I was 26 when I had a kid. I was like, when I was 26, I'm not 100% sure what I was doing with my own life.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
let alone taking
Right?
care of trying to think about somebody else's
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. So I actually think it's nice and it's fine that we're coming to this age. It's just a different era as well. Yeah. So what about you? And what about you guys?
I mean, I was
Can I
just going to
ask?
say that, of course.
Yeah.
I'm 33. And I think, it is definitely something that I've been thinking about. I've been married for like 6 years now. I'm very fortunate that I have not had pressure from like parents or in-laws or anything like that.
that's
But
good.
definitely, naturally it is something that
Yeah.
I think you start thinking about.
Of course.
Honestly, I think more for age with me, it's people tend to ask because I've been married for 6 years.
Yeah.
That like, oh, so when are you having a kid? But I think exactly what you were saying about, that the person that you follow on Instagram is that I do feel that now I am at a stage in my life where maybe, okay, I am mature enough as a person. Like I am secure enough in my own self to be able to then like take care of another person.
Human being, right?
Yeah. I know a dog seems and a cat seems like so much for me in any case. But I think, something that you mentioned earlier was about being an octopus.
Yes.
And that is something that I have thought about consistently, and especially since starting Moom, right? You talk to so many founders and especially female founders, and they're like, oh, I had a kid and 1.5 weeks later, I was back in the office.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, but I kind of want a confinement time. And like, I want to be with my child.
Yeah.
So I'm like, can I never have a kid then? Or like, how long do I have to wait for to be able to do this? Because I do still think that as and I'm going to speak from my own experience of speaking with women, as a founder in particular, it feels like you have this responsibility and duty, and like I'm leaving, the company to, even though nothing's going to happen if I leave, like nothing's going to happen. If I'm out for a month, nothing's happening.
I mean, that's not true.
So I think
agree.
if I'm out
She's
for
like, I'll leave Maya to it all.
if I'm out for a month
Delegate
that
to
has
Maya.
been prepared to the team for 9 months,
Yeah.
you're okay. I hope you're okay.
That's more like it.
You know?
True.
Don't plan holidays, Maya.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, how have you thought about, fertility and having kids as you've started a business?
Yeah,
And
oh
you're
my
like, it's so cool to see that, we're all very much in this startup stage. I'm literally looking at her team working there in silence because we've taken over her home
Her
office.
home and her office.
Exactly. So yeah, how do you think about that?
No, I think about that every day. And I talk about that with my husband all the time. I'm like, look, because my husband, he wants a kid so bad.
Yeah.
And I hope he does. I hope you don't mind me telling everyone. And so we pray on it all the time. But I said to him, I think it's such a blessing that the timeline is as such. Because personally, I don't think I can do Gigi and grow this business with me also wanting to be focusing on my kid. Because like I
Exactly.
said, I don't plan to come back a week and a half later. And like, I want to spend time and give my focus. So I just think that it's okay that it's not happening yet. Because perhaps my baby is my team, and I want to nurture that first. So I think timeline is everything and timing is everything too.
Do you feel, not to go back to this, but I'm just so curious, like, okay, being 38, do you feel like you've had a lot of external pressure from like family to be
My
like,
mom?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just keep giving her
Don't
tats.
name names.
No need to point fingers.
Yeah, no need to point fingers.
But
My mom. Like, do you feel like you've had a lot of that? Because I think a lot of people
Yes.
today wouldn't mind having kids later, but do feel pressure. I mean, Millie feels the pressure from me every single day. I'm like,
yeah.
Like,
when are
make
you
me
having
an
kids?
aunt.
When are you having kids? When are you
Maya
having?
walks into the office 2 times a week. So when is Millie getting pregnant? Oh my God. Okay, there
Guilty.
is no such thing as TMI at the Moom
that's-
office,
Yeah.
truly.
But yeah, do you feel like you've had that external pressure? Because you seem so confident in your decision of
Exactly.
like delaying it, right? And I think that's really inspiring to people that don't feel as confident and
Yeah.
honestly might be in situations where they do feel pressured and might not have a kid when they are meant to have a kid.
Yeah.
But do it anyways because they're not being forced to. But like
The pressure is
there
there.
is
Yeah.
pressure. Like how have you stayed so like steadfast in your decision?
Well, I mean, to begin with, I can't control when I have a kid. That's
Yeah.
up to God's plan. But the next is that there's a little bit of stubbornness in me as well.
Mm.
So I'm like, even though I feel pressure from my mom. No, I'm kidding. My sisters too.
Yeah,
It's crazy
yeah.
because my sisters have so much kids.
Yeah, they
And
do
they're
have
like,
so many
"We want
kids."
more
Yeah, they do.
cousins." I'm like, you have enough.
Yeah,
you know?
so true.
No, but then I just keep saying like it's not the right time yet.
Yeah.
And because I believe, like I said, I believe there's a time for everything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I just go back to that. It's not the time yet. Yeah. It'll happen when
And
it
that's
happens.
why Asma is going to grow Gigi so well and be
Yeah.
such a good entrepreneur, because
No.
believing that and believing in the patience, I think, is so important in everything.
Yeah.
But especially entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So
it goes beyond fertility.
exactly.
Yeah,
But I
100%.
guess just to kind of, share with people, because I think there are a lot of people who might be, a little bit older than like your
Yeah.
expected age.
Yeah.
And are looking to support their fertility in natural ways, the way
Okay.
that you have said it.
Yeah.
What would you say are a few things that maybe you're either thinking about or that you have actively added into your like daily rituals
Yeah.
that you think, okay, are in a sense supporting me? Like to me, the most obvious thing is you live in a very non-toxic household. The reason a lot of women in today's age and in our generation there's so many more cases of women needing to get IVF and struggling with infertility is truly because of the environment that they live in. And I think it's very difficult to control external environments, but if in your own home,
Yeah.
you can prioritize more natural ingredients. And that being said, like I have very acne prone skin. I'm not changing my skincare because I'm so scared I'm going to break out. Like I'm sticking with what works for me right now. Right. But
Got it.
things like toothpaste or like cleaners that I use in the house or whatever it may be, I know that I can make those changes and it can only improve my life. It's not going to make it worse in
Yeah.
any way. So to me, it feels like it's a win-win no matter what.
Yeah.
So that's something I guess you could say I have like actively decided to do.
Nice.
What would you say are like a few things that you have done like that?
So my friend introduced me to acupuncture. Just so you know, I am so scared of needles. Like if I go to the doctor, I'm like, it's a baby needle or you're not poking me.
Wow.
So she actually didn't have a period for a year. And so she went to this fertility acupuncture center in KL. And she got her period after doing it for like regularly 4 months. 4 to 5
Wow.
months.
Acupuncture is amazing.
Yeah,
It is
and
really
then
amazing.
she actually got pregnant after. So because it's a friend and I trusted.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started acupuncture and I made it a thing that I do with my husband. Because I'm like, we're in this together.
Okay.
100%.
Let's
Like,
just pause
because
on
women
this.
always think it's like, what do they have to do? I'm like, no, it's a team thing. So
This
we're
is-
doing it together.
exactly.
You're lying down beside me. We're both getting poked together. Yeah.
So, quick fact about fertility health and men and women.
Yeah.
So, I recently went to a gynecologist to get my fertility checked. I have PCOS, so it's something that I know I need to, I've always thought about pretty much since I was 15.
Yeah.
And she shared with me that I think, and I can look up the quotes again and we can put it on a piece of paper or whatever, but most of the time you think that the woman is going to be the one that has fertility issues.
Yeah.
So 60% of the time it is actually both male and female, the couple, if it's a male and a female, both of them have the fertility issues. I think 35% of the time it is just male. So majority of the time, if it's one or the other, it is actually more often that men will go through fertility issues
That is so
over women. So it's so amazing to do things as a couple
Yeah.
for your fertility health. Like,
And just to add to that, my best friend in the US shared this with me, and she would be fine with me saying this, I hope. But she was saying that her doctor, when they were going through their own fertility journey, her doctor said that officially men's infertility in the US has now been declared a women's health issue, which is so interesting.
Yeah.
Like, people like Harvard Women's Health Department is researching men's infertility.
Yeah.
It's so interesting
That
because it
so
is,
interesting.
I think naturally a woman just blames herself or
Yeah.
just thinks, oh, it's my problem. Like
Yeah.
there's something wrong with me. I need to get
Yeah.
tested. I need to do all these
Yeah.
things. But it's, I mean, it does take a couple to do
Yeah,
this.
exactly.
Like it's
So
not
why
a
is it if
solo
it's-
act.
Yeah.
If you're doing it naturally, it's not a solo
Yeah,
act.
exactly.
So yeah, I think that's so cool. Sorry to interrupt, but that was a
okay.
very, very
Yeah.
interesting piece that you just said that.
The last thing that I try to prioritize now with fertility is just making time for like a date, you know, with your husband. I think especially the busier you get, you don't make date time. So I remember my gynae saying, he was like, you know, all these young couples, you don't need to go honeymoon in your first year of marriage. It's like you need to go on a honeymoon in your fifth and your fifth
Yeah,
and
well,
sixth.
speaking from personal experience, still haven't gone on my honeymoon, husband. Let's fix that.
Yeah, so just making time.
because our podcast is called Take Care with Moom, what is one non-negotiable thing you do every single day
Okay.
to prioritize taking care of yourself?
And get like detailed. If you're using a product, what brand of product do you use? If you are, how many minutes, like everything. We
Yeah.
want to know it all.
Wow, okay. This is something I've mentioned earlier.
Okay.
So, I mean, I got to stay true to myself. It's not anything to do with the product because I think so much of taking care, you know, and taking time for yourself is from inside.
Yep.
So for me, it's my 5 times a day prayer.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're not robots, you know, and I think because I said it's an intentional thing.
Yeah.
So you're literally taking 5 breaks a day
Yeah.
to just recenter, refocus, like especially when I'm stressed.
Yeah.
This is something that I have to do to like just calm down, rethink, and recenter. Yeah.
Actually, that's pretty amazing. Like, I'm not religious whatsoever, but I think just the idea of not taking one, but actually taking
few,
5 or
right?
a few, like, doesn't
Yeah.
have to be 5, can be 6, can be 7, can
Yeah.
be 3.
Yeah.
But those forced timings, like maybe setting those in, I don't
in
know.
your phone.
Is that how
It
you
actually-
do that? Like,
yeah. Yeah. I
Yes.
mean, we already know it, but I
Yeah.
actually put it in my phone.
Putting
And so
it in
do
your
my
phone
friends do. Yeah.
to like have a forced break every
Yeah.
couple of hours
is.
just
Yeah.
to get
And
away
I
from
think-
screens.
Exactly. Even if it's like,
Yes.
it's not praying for you, if it's going out, if you're sitting in an office, going out and taking a walk. I mean, it's okay to leave your desk for 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah,
You
maybe
heard it here first, Moom team.
You did.
It's okay to
but
leave
no
your
more
desk.
than 10 minutes. But I actually think, you know, you said that. And when you said that earlier, I was thinking it would be quite cool. I mean, even in my own day, I would love
Yeah.
to like just set 10-minute walks, because otherwise
That's it. That's all
I
you
don't
need.
leave the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
No, 100%.
Okay.
You switch
I
from
love
like
that.
the medium screen to the small screen to the large screen.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just a whole day of screen.
Exactly.
Can I just add one more
Yeah, of
thing?
course.
Because the name of the podcast is
Take care with Moom.
Take Care with Moom. So one of my biggest lessons last year was learning how to take care of myself. And specifically the word recharge, you know. I've always, you know, like on Pinterest, you always see me time, self-care.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, it's just a catchphrase. But it wasn't until I was at rock bottom, like sometime last year, that I realized, oh my God, this is serious, because I went into depression. So yeah, not to end it on like a heavy thing, but this is a really good like eye-opener where like taking time to recharge is not overrated. It's such an important thing, especially if we want to do like big things in our life.
Yeah.
And, you know, just give your best to everyone, like your
100%.
team, your family, your husband, your friends.
Couldn't agree more, genuinely.
Yes.
And of course, we have to end this episode since this is a Moom podcast. What is your number one favorite Moom product and why?
That's too hard. I have 3.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, we'll take 3.
I have Sleep Well.
Yeah.
I cannot live without Sleep Well. That was the first one that I fell in love
True.
with.
That is true.
The second one is Happy Hormones now. And then the third is Super Green.
Yay!
I'll make my team take that as well.
Yes,
So
they were all drinking it this morning.
They were. I love it.
I
Yes.
know.
So that's my 3.
Okay, amazing.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes.
We're so happy we got to do
Thank
this
you.
in the famous home
Of Asma Nasa.
And yay.
Yay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.